At the top of a lonely hill sits a forgotten cemetery, overgrown, unkempt, and unwelcoming. There is an evil here that lingers, a darkness that suggests itself to any that spend time here. The primary feature of this decrepit place is a large, massive crypt dedicated to the Order of the Griffin. Within, rough-hewn stone steps lead down into darkness. But it's the true history of this place that is the real nightmare. Coming up on RPG Retro Reviews. Hello everyone, I'm captcorajus. Welcome to my channel RPG Retro Reviews. This is where I delve into old school fantasy modules and games and try to give them a fun and informative analysis, trivia, and historical context. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please give this video a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now, before I start talking about this dungeon that I created, let me briefly talk about the future of this channel. I've been running this channel for 10 years now and certainly have no plans to stop it, but to be honest, the grind of putting out videos got me a little burned out. So I took a few months off, obviously, and did just what I wanted, which was actually a good thing, as I got to develop a few ideas about a variety of different things, topics, subjects that have been percolating in my head for a while. And then I built this massive Dwarven Forge dungeon for my game table, and that was just one of the things that happened. I'm doing a collaboration with my daughter Crystal, who's working on some artwork for a new channel feature called Old School Stories, where I tell humorous tales about the crazy things that have happened at my table over 40 years of gaming, and that should be a lot of fun. I got some other things I'm going to talk about a little bit later on in the video, but for right now, let's go ahead and dive into the Lost Temple of Moloch. Hyperborea is a pulp fantasy RPG based heavily on the first edition rules of Dungeons & Dragons, but greatly expanded and modified to congeal with its setting, the world of Hyperborea. I've already done extensive reviews on this game and its setting, and if you'd like to know more, well, there's a link to my video playlist on that very topic right in the description. Briefly, my campaign to this point has primarily taken place in the Zangarios Isles and its archipelago, a small series of islands hosting the enigmatic port Zangarios, whose culture is predicated on a tradition of mask wearing. Also called the City of Masks, it is considered a wild, lawless, and corrupt land, a haven for cutthroats, gamblers, and lotus chewers. It is said that power can shift overnight in this place, though in my own personal setting, this isn't exactly true. For my campaign, the city is a blending of Port Zangarios from the Settings Guide, the City of Sanctuary from the Thieves' World box set, and the City of Kadeth from the Primeval Fool campaign setting. Thus, there is a corrupt dynastic monarchy here, the Peacock Throne, though actual rule of the place is left to surrogates. The Peacock Princess Diane Hazida, the last surviving member of her dynastic family, after an assassination attempt 20 years prior, when she was just an infant. Rule, though, of the island chain has fallen to Grand Vizier Iblad Pask, whose underworld contacts and devious machinations have allowed him to remain the true power ever since. There is a council of 9 lords, landholders on the island archipelago, prominent merchants and privateers that conduct much of the day-to-day business, levy taxes, and enforce laws, such that they are, though certainly wealth is the true determiner of justice in the port. The characters in my campaign are as follows: a Deathbringer warrior named Abraxas, a druid named Adelaide, a plague doctor named Anaxia, and a necromancer named Taboltus. Surprisingly, the PCs have quickly carved out a name for themselves by routing out several evils in the city that were plaguing local citizens. Notable accomplishments include the recovery of the Harp of Apollo from the Fane of the Harp, the temple's most sacred relic, and the destruction of the Emerald Enchanter, a vile wizard who held sway over one of the smaller islands in the chain for decades. He had been kidnapping citizens off the streets of Port Zangarios for quite some time to use in his vile experiments. Madame Myrtus from the Aphrodisia house hired the heroes after several of her girls had gone missing. After the death of the wizard, the heroes laid claim to his holdings, including his mountain fortress that they had pillaged. Of course, this actually required the approval of the Council of Nine, now 8, and a significant contribution of gold, as they had killed one of the council lords after all. But the enchanter's crimes were now public and exposed, and Vizier Pask recognized the danger of prosecuting people whom the public deemed heroes, though several council members who were loyal to the enchanter became the heroes' enemies. But in the end, they gained their lordly titles and control of the island, which included the long-suffering small village of Isnad Zavros, named after the hero that founded the place. Given the cruelty they had suffered at the hand of the old enchanter, they were immediately suspicious of the PCs, but several improvements made to the town's small port, roads, and buildings immediately set their mind at ease. Over the next several months, the heroes began refurbishing the old Emerald Enchanter's mountain hideaway, turning it into their home and headquarters, a place to train for Abraxas, a lab for Anoxia, a library and study room for Debulthus, and a magical grove for Adelaide. Adelaide even began something of a romance with the town's local druid, Avandra. A few months into their remodeling work, a strange occurrence required their attention as a large number of undead sprang up from a long-forgotten cemetery on the other side of the island. Initially, Avandra and the town's guard went to investigate, but when they failed to return, the heroes were contacted by the town's mayor, Anella Goldworthy. The origin of the undead turned out to be a crypt within, the final resting place of the Order of the Griffin. Here, a group of 31 knights defeated a cult dedicated to the devil Moloch. In this wicked place, the realm of men and devils butted up against each other, a thin membrane on the wall of reality that threatened to allow hell entry into Hyperborea. Unable to completely close the dimensional rift entirely, the knights built a large crypt over Moloch's temple and sacrificed themselves to their god Horus so that their spirits would remain for all eternity to protect the realm against incursion by the forces of evil. Of course, as is the way of such things, a dedicated cultist and necromancer named Algaroth the Cruel has managed to find his way to the old temple and is slowly corrupting the warrior spirits of the crypt as he conducts a vile ritual that will allow the forgotten archdevil Moloch to rise once more. Of which a side effect is the rise of the dead in the aforementioned forgotten cemetery. Obviously, this is where the heroes come in, as they investigate the cause of the zombie incursions of the town of Isnad and try to find the missing druid and her party of investigators. The main crypt entrance can be found as a set of rough-hewn stone stairs leading down into darkness. The torches on the wall immediately alight as the PCs enter. This room is really just one big trap and can be quite deadly for the unwary. 5 stone sarcophagi are seen as they descend the stairs to the place. There are 2 obvious treasure chests, and to the right, 2 separate portcullis that lead to different sections of the crypt. Directly across is a set of large wooden double doors. Anyone seeking to investigate the chests must be wary of a pressure plate between that will set off an arrow trap. But that is not the worst of it, of course. The treasure chests are actually mimics who reveal themselves once the trap is sprung. In addition, it's at this point that 4 ghouls will erupt from the sarcophagi to attack the party. And as if this wasn't enough, skeleton archers will emerge from the portcullis rooms, firing arrows through the bars into the mayhem. Note there are 5 sarcophagi in this room. Astute players might think to investigate why one of them did not contain a ghoul and could discover a secret door there. My players completely missed this clue and went right for the wooden double doors after defeating the ghouls and skeletons, but they would eventually have to circle back because you can't uncover Moloch's temple really without the key clue found in that section. If you look closely, you can see that I even used the Dwarven Forge secret door, and while it might seem obvious when you know it's there, it's funny how often I can just throw this piece down on the table and the players will fail to notice it as they did in this case. The wooden doors they investigated lead to a foyer area. Here, rubble lies on the floor, and careful investigation will uncover a weakness to the east wall. Note that the skeletons in this picture are under the control of the necromancer Tiboltus. This leads to a cavernous section. The initial path is a narrow ledge over acidic water. Beneath the ledge lurk several Varghoulis that will fly up and attack the heroes as they cross through this section. After that is an underground lake. A corrupted octopus lies in wait to attack the unwary. On the far side of the lake is a niche with a chest and a nature statue. A magical weapon of the Order lies protected from Moloch's evil, and a warrior in possession of the weapon who stops to give reverence, in essence kneel or bow to the nature goddess statue, will receive a blessing of +1 to their strength. Across from the wooden doors in the foyer is an archway. The archway leads down curved stairs in the main crypt area. The sarcophagi here is that of the Order's captain, Astonford Farrell. The infiltration of Moloch's evil has produced an exceptionally powerful ghoul here, with spell-casting ability. However, that won't be discovered until the sarcophagi is violated or a player investigates the book stand in the next section. In the next hall section leading deeper into the crypt, there is a filicreed suit of griffin armor and a tome on a bookstand. This is the Chronicle of the Order of the Griffin and details the Order's entire history, from its lowly inception as a small group of knights to one of the counted hundreds among its members. Many of their campaigns against demons are told here in a heroic historical style. Also detailed is the discovery of the Temple of Moloch and the Order's monumentous decision to trap the demon here for all eternity through a ritualistic suicide pact that would leave their souls trapped and as guardians of the gateway. It also continues after with a task to the reader. If herein this sacred crypt should ever find itself corrupted by Moloch's evil, it is your solemn duty to take up the mantle of the Griffin and dedicate your soul to Horus to assure this evil does not invade your world. Do you so swear? It reads. And if spoken aloud, such a vow, the crypt's remaining power will be bestowed upon the reader. This manifests as a pair of griffin wings that sprout painfully from the swearer's back, allowing them to fly, and in addition a favored weapon the person carries becomes a +2 weapon, +3 against the followers of Moloch. It was the plague doctor Noxia who read this passage, and in her chaotic manner swore to fight the devil and his minions, thus gaining the literal wings of a griffin that erupted from her back in bone-crushing agony, which, as you can see here, goes quite well with her beak mask. I had a bit of fun modding the player's miniature between sessions with the wings. Interestingly, the passage reads, "The wings will remain as long as Moloch's evil is a threat." And this little detail becomes important a little bit later. It's at this point that the corrupted crypt of Captain Ashenford erupts and a powerful ghoul lord issues forth, in addition to several zombies that lie in state on slabs in the next chamber. Of course, while a difficult fight, the heroes were able to overcome the undead. And the next section finds them in the crypt of the Weeping Widow, a place where one of the wives of the knights also gave her life so she too could be with her lover and husband forever in the afterlife. Of course, like many of the souls in this crypt, she has been corrupted by the former archdevil's influence. Initially, only her crying and sad weeping can be heard, a feeling of melancholy overwhelming any that hear it. So no saving throw. When the Deathbringer warrior Abraxas approached, attempts to console the tormented spirit of the widow, she lets out a horrid wail that did both hit point and constitution damage to all characters in range, which in this case was everyone in the party. She can be defeated, but she will withdraw into her tomb if reduced to 0 hit points for 24 hours. But like many things here, she cannot be ultimately destroyed or redeemed until the evil corruption of this place is lifted. The next section of the crypt is relatively benign, and a secret door leads to the temple proper. Here, a devil-faced door greets the heroes, and from niches at either end of a long hallway emerge flaming skeletons, which attack the heroes with claws and thrown balls of fire. Once they are defeated, the heroes are faced with the evil door itself, which will annoyingly taunt and ridicule the characters with evil jibes, praising Moloch and threatening their very souls with possession, or just making fun of their attire, their fighting skills, and just being a jerk. Of course, a direct attack against the door results in force damage against the attacker, and when they listen at the door carefully, they can hear the chanting from some kind of foul ritual that is taking place beyond. There are two ways to overcome this door, and it cannot be just bashed down with brute force. This may require the party to actually traipse back to the first room of the crypt to uncover the secret door they missed. Beyond is a bit of a puzzle chamber with an underground sundial and a bronze mask. Those familiar with the Tower of Xenopus might have an idea of what's next. Shining a light source over the sundial to alight the proper hour elicits a response from the mask. The mask itself hints at this by saying, "If you do not know what to do, I'll not speak till it be 2. When a light source illuminates the sundial at the hour of 2, the mask says, "A question. Since the dawn of time, it has been so. Ask one, and then I'm done. At least until tomorrow." Of course, they can just ask about anything, but the obvious question is how to open the door in the hallway in Moloch's tomb. This is a bit tricky because if they find this section before they uncover Moloch's tomb door, they may spend one question before encountering the door. If this happens, my backup was to let the wizard get by the door with a simple dispel magic, but narratively, this is a bit more fun in my opinion. Dispel magic would work, but shh, don't tell them. If asked, the mask reveals the secret password to the door is Moloch lives. In any event, when they return and say the password, or they just cast a dispel magic on the door, the chamber beyond the temple is revealed, the true temple of Moloch, thousands of years old. The evil wizard within is the necromancer, currently engaged in a ritual most vile, hellspawn runes being carved directly into the flesh of the captured druid Evandra, who was chained to a pillar at the far end of the chamber. The necromancer was not alone, of course, and several of his undead minions moved to engage the heroes as they attempted to interrupt the vile ritual. A mystical barrier separated the heroes from their quarry. However, a dispel magic once more from Debultist eliminated the barrier and allowed the heroes to engage their foes directly. Horrifically, once the minions were defeated, the runes on Evandra's flesh glowed in a clearly painful, fiery red, and the massive statue of Moloch, located in an alcove nearby, animated and attacked. The battle, of course, was quite ferocious. Low on hit points, the heroes rallied, and a lucky natural 20 critical hit to the necromancer himself, and he was defeated, the statue destroyed, and Evandra, the lovely druid, rescued from a cruel fate. Though a few troubling questions remained, especially when Noxia's wings still remained even after the so-called evil of Moloch had been defeated. But those are questions for another day. For now, a celebration was in order. Evandra was rescued, and the village was saved, at least for now. The heroes were victorious. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little peek at my Hyperborea campaign. Please leave your questions and comments below. Thank you so much for watching. In the weeks ahead, I have a variety of new content coming your way, including the long-awaited old school stories, a review of Lamentations of the Flame Princes, a true relation of the great Virginia Disastrum, a Hyperborea review of 1,000 Eyes of Thaumagogoria, and I'm even dipping into some 5th edition territory as I pull open the 2024 Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. After the little break I had here over the last few months, I'm trying to get back on track for 2025. I'd like to take a moment to thank my Patreons who've stuck with me after this drought of content. Thank you so much. Please give this video a like, comment, and share. Please check out my Teespring store for great gaming swag, t-shirts, carry bags, coffee cups, and more. Check the channel's Facebook page, RPG Retro Reviews. Consider supporting the channel by becoming a patron yourself. Or, alternatively, you can just send a tip through the PayPal tip jar or leave a tip through Super Thanks. As always, my friends, may your D20 roll true and game on.